Today, we're going to take a giant leap into the future and see when the end of the NFL is going to be coming, according to Madden 18 connected franchise. So, yo, what is going on, everybody? This is RVT, and welcome to one of my first Madden 18 experiments of the year. And as you see, we're simming to the end of the NFL, according to Madden 18 connected franchise. We're going to see what the state of the NFL is at the end of Madden 18 connected franchise, and see if there's anybody that made any noise in the record books, see if any teams relocated, and to see what the end of the NFL is all about here on Madden 18. So if you guys do enjoy today's experiment, let me know by dropping a like. Let's see if we can smash 2,000 likes for the return of experiments onto the channel. If you guys have any other ideas for future experiments, let me know in the comment section below. With that said, let's jump into this video. And as you guys have probably already seen, Madden 18 connected franchise brings us to the end of the NFL, and that is in 2047. So maybe EA knows something. Maybe there's some type of contract that the NFL has that says they're going to end, in the year 2047. Probably not, more than likely not, but let's just go by it because that makes the storyline of today's video better. But as you see, the NFL ends in 2047 because we can no longer sim any further. I was hoping we could get like 100 years into the future, but it's technically just 30 years into the future. As you see, it's making me retire my owner at this point, so we can't go any further. But there are some crazy things potentially that could have happened in the NFL. First of all, let's see who actually won the Super Bowl in the final year of this connected franchise, or in NFL history that is. Actually was the Washington Redskins over the Denver Broncos 34-31. Who is the star of this game? Austin Conte from Ole Miss, and you got Josh Neuenhuis from Nebraska. Two young quarterbacks battling out. Those two players would have been the face of the NFL for a long time to come, but the NFL ended here. So now I do want to see if any teams actually relocated. So we're going to look at the final standings in the NFL. The Steelers went 15-1. The Giants went 12-4. My Titans did good as well. The best record went to the Steelers. Are there any new teams in the NFL? And it actually doesn't look like any teams relocated. So that's actually pretty disappointing. I was hoping we'd have some different teams in here, but we don't. So the Chiefs are in a bad state at 3-13. The Jaguars don't look like they did too well. Didn't do too well in real life, like at the beginning of their franchise history, and now they're still doing bad at the end of the NFL. Dolphins doing bad, but now look at this. This is the most interesting one thus far. The two teams that won the conferences last year, obviously they met in the Super Bowl when the Falcons gave them like a 28-3 lead. They're not doing too well. The Patriots of all teams are 4-12, so post Bill Belichick and post Tom Brady, they're probably dead at this point. They are 4-12, not doing too well. Bears not doing too great, so that's nothing new. Eagles, that's kind of a surprise at 5-11. I already mentioned the Falcons. The Bengals not doing well. The Ravens not doing well. Panthers, Saints, Seahawks, all under 500 at this point in the NFL. Look at this. The Browns, I guess slowly but surely throughout 30 years, have crawled their way back up to 8-8. That might still be unrealistic, but who knows with the Browns. The Lions 8-8. As you see, the teams that had an over 500 record. My AFC South actually had a really good year with 3 teams with over 500 records. And kind of disappointing, though, that my Titans didn't win the Super Bowl or anything like that. Now, let's see. One of the things I'm most interested in is to look at the NFL records and see if anybody broke any records. And right here, is this a real person? T. Ferentz. T. Ferentz, who are you? Is this no? Who is this? Is this a real person, or is this somebody that decided to break the history books? Ferentz. T. Ferentz? Nope, Kirk Ferentz. That's a okay. If T. Ferentz isn't pulling up on Google, that means it's the creative player. Unfortunately, we can't look any further into this, but unless he's Kirk Ferentz's son, who's the football coach at University of Ohio, this is a creative player, and this is probably a creative player. Well, they all have to be creative players. I'm a goddamn idiot. I'm pretty sure if there's a quarterback that was this good in the NFL and in terms of NFL history, I would have known who they were. So I don't know why I even had to double check myself. I think I'm an idiot sometimes. But anyways, this guy as well, Pete Canonico from the Giants. Nobody broke Drew Brees' record, but they got right up there with Tom Brady. You have Hand from the Rams. He's top 5. And then you have nobody, maybe Hanson. Hanson might be a non-creative player, but you have 2 Packers, obviously Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Any quarterback from multiple teams, it does not look like it. So any other quarterbacks, so you have the creative players who came in the NFL in the future actually led the NFL in passing touchdowns, and both played for the Giants. The Giants put up some huge numbers at the quarterback position. Both of them broke Drew Brees' record by a pretty good bit. Ferentz, who led the NFL or came in second in terms of passing yards, came in fourth in terms of passing touchdowns, which is crazy. And then you see the rest of the regular quarterbacks on there. Rushing yards wise, nobody beat Emmitt Smith or Walter Payton. Zach Boyle, or Z Boyle, don't know why I'm assuming his name is Zach, but Boyle came in third place in NFL history in rushing yards. And Ezekiel Elliott came in fourth place. Stevens, I'm assuming, is a creative player. And Le'Veon Bell came in the top 10. Dalvin Cook of the Vikings as well was way up there. And Ball from the Broncos. And now moving on to rushing touchdowns, you have Ball from the Denver Broncos, who tried to creep up there with Emmitt Smith, but didn't quite do so. He did beat Ezekiel Elliott, who that makes two Cowboys in the top 3 in terms of career rushing touchdowns. Let's see, Leonard Fournette got up there as well. Boyle, Craver, Stevens, Minor, and Dalvin Cook, all young players, and some of these created as well. So a lot of the oldies aren't necessarily in here. We had a lot of rushing touchdowns. We had a lot of records being broken by running backs throughout their career. Receiving yards stays with Jerry Rice. Antonio Brown got up there. Nobody's going to break Jerry Rice's receiving yards record. Terrell Owens, Lou. Freaking Lou got up there with Larry Fitzgerald, but he is in the top 10, and I think he's the only creative player, or the only player from the future, that came in the top 10 in terms of receiving yards in NFL history. Receiving touchdowns, Jerry Rice still blowing everybody out of the water, and I don't think any of these guys are players from the future, so that's crazy. Had somebody there receiving yards, but not touchdowns. Catches, Jerry Rice, of course. Nobody's going to break his record, so Boyd from the Cowboys, I believe, is a creative player, but he is one of the few wide receivers to break a career record in the NFL. Now moving on to defensive career sacks, Joey Bosa got right up there with Reggie White and Bruce Smith, but didn't quite eclipse it, but 181 career sacks is insane. So did Myles Garrett, 173. Willis is a creative player. Kevin Green is not. Dolman, I believe, is. And the rest are players that you all know. Aaron Donald got there as well with 153, so a great career from him. But Joey Bosa, Myles Garrett, according to Madden 18, is going to have 2 of the best 4 defensive sack records in NFL history. Now, last but not least, defensive interceptions. We had a guy with the name of Tunnell, was right up there with Paul Krause. Didn't quite beat him, but got the closest. Cujo from the Rams had a good career with 70 picks. Dick Lane, Riley, Richard Sherman of the Broncos. Interesting. I haven't actually been checking that to see if any of these players had changed teams. That's the first one I noticed. Richard Sherman, I guess, went to the Broncos in his career, which is crazy, but he ended up with 75 interceptions. Imagine Richard Sherman today on the Broncos with that defense that they have. That's insane. So now let's see if they broke any passing yard stats. Now we can actually see the year here. Sears from the Redskins in 2029 have 5,600 yards, which is pretty insane. But yeah, this guy in 2043, Canonico from the Giants, with a huge year passing yards wise, and the Giants had 2 great quarterbacks. They must have had a really good team drafting quarterbacks, and Michael Hand, or M. Hand, had 5,200 yards in a year in 2026, and Russell Wilson of the Jaguars. Russell freaking Wilson of the Jaguars. This guy from the Giants actually had 2 great back-to-back years. Came in the top 10 2 straight years. Now moved to passing touchdowns in a year. Nobody broke Peyton Manning's record, but Hanson came 3 behind him with 52. Anybody else? Castle from the Bengals with 49 in 2035, and he had another great year the next year with 47. Now moving along to rushing yards in a season, nobody beat Eric Dickerson's 2,100 yards. Anybody actually come in the top 10? Stevens from the Seahawks did with 1,900, so nothing crazy there. Rushing touchdowns, nobody beat that either. We had a couple guys come right here with the 23-24 mark. Branch, Boyle, Leonard Fournette of all running backs with 23. Branch and Dalvin Cook with 23. So we had some players in the future break some records, or come in the top 10 at least, that didn't necessarily break the record. Now receiving yards, Calvin Johnson still has not been touched. Julio Jones is right up there as well. And we do have Lou from the Chiefs, who was in the top 10 for career receiving yards. Did have a great year with 1,700 yards. And we had this guy, Kelly from the Broncos, with 1,700 as well. Receiving touchdowns, nobody broke Randy Moss's record. We had Yonda, a tight end from the 49ers, with 20. 2 less than Jerry Rice and 3 less than Randy Moss. Gregory from the Bengals with 20. Fine from the Broncos, just a couple years after the simulation started, with 19. And we had a couple more guys. Amari Cooper with 18, first time I've seen him on this list. And Boyd from the Falcons with 18 in a year as well. Catches in a season, Marvin Harrison, nobody's going to beat that with 143. We had Elliott from the Redskins, I think it's the first time we're seeing his name, and I believe that is it. Now, defensive sacks in a game, nobody broke this. It goes to Gaston Neal from the Jets with 22, and there's a bunch of guys tied with 22 in a season. Joey Bosa, his rookie, or I guess his sophomore season with 22, so he tied the NFL record for sacks in a season. And then you had Willis from the Bengals with 21. That's that. Now, defensive interceptions, the first three here are from like 50 years ago, and they're all old players. Everybody is an old player. I guess they threw a lot more interceptions back in the day. And moving on to NFL game records, we had Kyle with 553 in a game, Ham from the Giants with 530, and Osborne, first time I've seen him, with 525 in a game, and that is that. Passing touchdowns in a game, nobody broke those records. We had a couple guys with 7 to round out this top 10, Sears, Storner, and Patterson. Great quarterbacks. They're great quarterbacks in their career. Rushing yards-wise in a game, nobody from the future came in the top 10 in a game. Rushing touchdowns in a game, we had a couple guys in 2018 with 5, Zeke and Shane Vereen, first time I've seen him in this list, and a couple guys from way out in the future, Wooden, Felder, and Baldwin, all with 5 as well. Receiving yards in a game, nobody broke that. Anderson for the Rams with 336 receiving yards in a game, that's pretty good. So is Calvin Johnson's. But nobody from the future with more than 283 yards in a game, receiving touchdowns in a game, the same. Nobody broke the receiving yards or receiving touchdowns in a game as well. Catches in a game, 2043, McDonald from the Packers with 19 receptions in a game. That's pretty freaking insane. I don't know why. How can you have 19 receptions in a game and not have more than 280 yards? That's crazy. Defensive sacks in a game, nobody from the future came in the top 10 with that either. Defensive interceptions in a game, it's just like every interception record ever is like from 1901. Now looking at the legacy leaderboard at the owners, you have Bolin of the Broncos actually won that with 39,000 legacy score. But like apparently the owners are going to be alive in 30 something years. Like, do you think Jerry Jones is going to be alive in 30 years? Like, I know that's kind of harsh, but god dang, he's like 105 years old. So now looking at some of the greatest players in NFL history, Tom Brady looks like he ended up having the best career out of any quarterback. 6 Super Bowls in his career. Does that mean he won any more? I can't remember. But he had 23 yearly awards, which is insane. Thurman, Castle, these are creative players, and Aaron Rodgers is down there, but it looks like Thurman had an incredible career, as Drew Brees is down there. So we had a lot of creative players actually beat some of the quarterbacks that are in today's NFL, which is pretty insane. So, like, I don't even see Mariota on here. Where's Mariota? You're telling me Mariota or Jameis Winston didn't have a top career? Come on now. Best running back in NFL history goes to Stevens, a creative player. Boyle in second, and Ezekiel Elliott in third with Devonta Freeman in fourth, who didn't have any records. Looks like Ezekiel Elliott didn't win any Super Bowls in his career. That's pretty sad. Nor did Le'Veon Bell, who's up there. Marshawn Lynch won 1. Dalvin Cook didn't win any. Did anybody win Super Bowls? I don't see any players with Super Bowls. Now let's go to the best wide receivers in NFL history. Goes to Odell Beckham Jr. He won 1 Super Bowl. Antonio Brown didn't win any, but he had Gregory come in second. So Odell Beckham ended up being the best receiver in NFL history. Julio Jones is nowhere up here, which is kind of weird. Des Bryant's up there. You have Lou, he's a white guy. I was imagining an Asian guy. Try not to be stereotypical, but like, don't you think? I never seen a white guy with the last name Lou. But that is that. So that's kind of crazy. Tight end wise, Gronk of course had the best career out of any tight end. Moody, the creative player, came in second. And I don't see, did Gronk ended up with 2 Super Bowls. Moody had 3. I don't know who he played for though. I guess all these players are in the Hall of Fame. Jason Witten never won a Super Bowl either. He's up there. And I don't see any more created tight ends, so that's crazy. Offensive lineman, I guess it doesn't really matter. Tyron Smith. At left guard, you had Bush, who's a creative player. Frederick ended up being the best center of all time. At right guard, Zach Martin ended up being the best right guard of all time. And Spotch. Why are these legacy scores so low for right tackles? Anyway, moving on to defense, Joey Bosa with an incredible score. 20,000 points. J.J. Watt was 7,000 behind him. Shows you how good Joey Bosa was. But neither of these guys ended up with the Super Bowl ring. J.J. Watt ended up winning 2 AFC championships, but didn't win any Super Bowls. Justin Houston didn't either. Never even won an AFC championship game with the Chiefs. Leonard Williams won 1 Super Bowl with the Jets. The Jets did win a Super Bowl. I for some reason thought that was Matt Barkley, but that's definitely not Matt Barkley, and he's definitely not a left end. And Amon Suh ended up being the best defensive tackle in NFL history, and that's why. So I guess this might be kind of glitched, or maybe it's just players that got elected to the Hall of Fame that are on here. I don't know. Aaron Donald, that's a great career as well. 20,000. I guess if you get 20,000 legacy score, you had a pretty good career. But he didn't win a Super Bowl either. Won 1 NFC championship game with the Rams. If you stay with the Rams, Willis had 2 Super Bowl wins. I guess this is a real player. I probably should know that because he has a face, or maybe I'm just stupid. Cameron Jordan came in 4th place. That's crazy. And Myles Garrett came in 3rd and didn't win the Super Bowl with the Browns. But hey, look, the Browns did win an AFC championship, so that's hope for you Browns fans out there. Von Miller, the best linebacker of all time, with 2 Super Bowl rings and 3 championships. At middle linebacker, Luke Kuechly came behind Norton, who won 3 Super Bowls. Moving on to right outside linebacker, Terrell Suggs, the best outside linebacker in NFL history with 1 Super Bowl ring. Now cornerback goes to Lauderdale. Richard Sherman came in 2nd. He ended up winning 2 Super Bowls. And Marcus Peters is up there as well, but he didn't win a Super Bowl either. Now at free safety, that's weird. Let's move on. Strong safety, Landon Collins ends up being the best strong safety in NFL history with 15,000. Did win that 1 Super Bowl with the Giants. It's like nobody actually won Super Bowls because like very few players that I look at the top of the list have Super Bowl rings. Kicker, Adam Vinatieri, of course, with 4 Super Bowls. So I guess the Colts won some more Super Bowls. Maybe that was in his past. I don't know. Moving on to punter. Bowman. They have a really, really good legacy score. I guess nobody, like you see, nobody won the Super Bowl, I guess. Now moving on to head coach goes to Joseph. Vance Joseph, and isn't he one of the newest head coaches in the NFL? John Madden's up there, which is weird. You don't see any of the other regular coaches out there, because I guess they all retired at this point. This guy, Cable, not DirecTV, Cable. So out of the current NFL, the best coach is Kevin Irvin of the Pittsburgh Steelers with 134 career wins. You have Nathan Cable from the Cowboys with 121, but have more losses than wins. That's pretty trash. Who has the most career losses? And that goes to Jeremy Scott with 137. This guy's some trash. And is that not John Fox? Is John Fox reincarnated as Nathan Castanon? Now the best winning percentage from any head coach is Joshua Wesley of the Seahawks, and he got John Gladwell of the Texans. Freaking John. Got Aaron as well from the Raiders up there, along with Norman. And the best postseason record out of any coach, I guess at this point in real life, these guys would just be fetuses, but now they're head coaches in the NFL because this is like 30, 40 years in the future. But anyways, freaking Ronald's got the best postseason record at a 12-4 record. That's pretty good. He did win a Super Bowl, but lost one. You got Gladwell up there too. So Gladwell's a pretty good freaking coach, it looks like. Who is the worst playoff coach out there? You got Garrett Campbell, who only lost 1 game in his career. And you have some guys who are some trash. Freaking Jonathan Viagra can't win a game in the playoffs, it looks like. And no current head coach has more than 1 Super Bowl win, which is kind of weird. But Josh, so I think I've showed you everything I can up to this point. Unfortunately, I don't think you can show the past Super Bowl winners, and it won't show me the MVP for the past season because I guess we broke the game being this far ahead. But I guess that is going to do it for this Madden 18 experiment, as we did see what the end of Madden 18 Connected Franchise looks like. If you guys have any other ideas for Madden 18 experiments, let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy. See if we can smash 2,000 likes. I think you guys can do it. But guys, that's going to do it for me. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will catch you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.